Mixcloud, like a few of you have been doing this morning. We have Nathan, Lounge Radio in Norway, and DJ Brian Hudson, who've all been getting in the mix. You can go to I've forgotten what it is. Ross, if you'd like to tell everyone how they can go to Mixcloud.
I love how we fall into a pattern of reading certain ones, don't we?
Yeah, I need to learn this one.
Mixcloud, you can go to watchchaos.tv and then just click the Mixcloud button on there.
I'm going to need to write that down. Wonderful. So we are now going to go up to the CTEC Plus Hour. And this week we are looking back at CTEC Plus's recent virtual seminars on the topic of Disability Confident. What does this mean? Well, the Disability Confident virtual events are aimed at helping employers to recruit from a wider talent pool and also to provide advice and guidance to help employers benefit from more inclusive recruitment practices.
Yes, in this short film, we hear from Tony George from Job Centre Plus, who explains some of the reasons why employers should consider the Disability Confidence Scheme. We meet one company and its employers who were recruited through the Disability Confidence Scheme. And finally, we hear from John Beach of the Department of Work and Pensions to talk more about the Access to Work scheme, which is fantastic. Let's take a look.
So yeah, a little bit of background on the Disability Confidence Scheme. It was launched in November 2016, and it's to support employers in making the most of the talents disabled people can bring to the workplace, and to help give employers techniques, skills, and the confidence to recruit and retrain and develop people with disabilities and long-term health conditions. And in the longer term, and we've heard this from the speakers earlier on, we want to see this scheme recognised as the standard practice across all of industry and have recruitment viewed as an inclusive process based on ability, not disability, as the norm. We want disability confident employers to help challenge attitudes towards disability and improve understanding, remove barriers, ensure that opportunities available to disabled people to fulfil their potential and realise their aspirations. And there are currently more than 20,000 disability confident employers and over 11 million paid employees working for disability confident businesses, and that's great, but there's still a long way to go. Between October and December 2020, 52% of disabled people of working age were in employment, compared to 81% of people who are not disabled. So there's an employment gap there of 29%. It was slowly moving and getting better pre-pandemic, but now it's slipped back the other way, and we need to address that. And in addition, 80% of people acquire their disability whilst they're in work. So clearly there's a need to recruit more disabled people to ensure that that pool of untapped talent isn't overlooked, and to ensure that businesses do all they can to retain the talent they already have. So we've talked a bit about different levels. There are 3 levels in disability confident: committed, employer, and leader. And today I'm just going to concentrate on that first level, committed, getting started. So let's take a moment to look at what that means. So when you become disability confident committed, we ask you to work towards. So notice I stress that, work towards. You're not going to just sign up and suddenly be. We want you to work towards it, and there'll be lots of help and support along the way. You've heard from some of the earlier speakers there of all the help and support they got from CTEC Plus as an example. We're there to help. Everyone's there to help you achieve what you need to achieve. So first thing, look at your recruitment process. What could you do to make it more inclusive and accessible? So, have a look and make sure you're not discriminating. Make sure your job adverts are more accessible by providing them in a range of formats, for example. Look at how you communicate and promote your vacancies. They can be advertised through a range of channels. And we ask that you make sure you use your Disability Confident badge to let potential job seekers know that you're an inclusive employer. You can get help and advice and support from us, work and health providers such as CTEC Plus, and local user-led organisations, as well as national charities as well. So review your current recruitment process, see what you can do to change and make things better. You could offer an interview to disabled people. So encourage applications by offering an interview to somebody who declares they have a disability. It doesn't mean to say that you've got offer an interview to everybody with a disability. They still have to meet the minimum criteria for your job, which is commonly referred to as the desirable skills. They are defined by yourselves. What we're trying to encourage here is positive action. Employers can take get my tongue tied there. Employers can take steps to help or encourage certain groups of people with diverse needs who are disadvantaged in some way to access work and training, and it's perfectly lawful under the Equality Act to do so. But also, there could be some times where if you've got a high level of applicants, offering an interview to every disabled person who meets the criteria is just not practical. And in those situations, it's okay to limit the number of interviews to those disabled people who best meet the criteria in the same way you would do for a non-disabled applicant. We've already touched upon reasonable adjustments earlier. Whether or not an adjustment has to be made depends on how reasonable it is, really, and it will hinge on the individual circumstances and employer resources. They can include things like changes to working patterns, adaptations to premises or equipment, and provision of support packages. They're there to ensure that disabled workers are not disadvantaged when applying for or doing their jobs. And many are straightforward and easy to carry out and often cost nothing or little. But there's, as has been mentioned earlier, funding may also be available for the Access to Work scheme, and details of that are on the gov.uk website. And I mentioned earlier about supporting existing employees who acquire a disability or long-term health condition. Keeping those valuable skills and experience within your business and saving on the cost of recruiting and training a replacement, is important. And again, access to help work may be able to help. And there are other organisations that could help as well, such as Mind, for example, or the Chartered Institute for Personnel and Development for mental health support, and other organisations that were mentioned earlier, WorkFit, for example. There's a lot out there. All you've got to do is ask. And the final ask that we say to employers are the following options over the first year. So possibly work experience or a work trial. Paid employment, like that one. Apprenticeships, much the same thing. Or maybe a job shadowing opportunity. Or a traineeship, especially if you've got young people who want to get an apprenticeship or a job, but they don't quite have the right skills or experience. You could look at a paid internship or a supported internship. And in terms of supported internships, they're aimed at disabled people still in education who are seeking some work experience. You might want to look at a student placement, or finally, one of the sector-based work academy placements that are designed to help you fill vacancies more effectively. They include sector-based training, a bit of work experience, and a guaranteed job interview. There's lots of options available, and you do not have to offer all of them. And signing up couldn't be easier. It's already been said. You just go to the gov.uk website, search Disability Confident, ask at your local job centre, speak to your host today, CTEC Plus. They would love to sign you up. And as has been said earlier, we only ask for some basic contact details and some indication of the size of your company. Once you've been signed up, we'll send you your Disability Confident badge and ask you to display that proudly on your websites and throughout social media to let people know that you're part of the scheme and support disabled people. And you'll also get exclusive access to a social media group where you can find out about free training available, share your experiences and good practice with other disability confident employers, and just gain access to all of the knowledge and information you need to make Disability Confident a success for you and your employees. And there are other benefits to displaying the Disability Confident badge as well. Disabled people like to show to support companies who will support them. And the purple pound, which is a phrase coined by somebody in the Department of Work and Pensions some time ago, to represent the spending power of disabled people, that number was estimated to be 274 billion in 2020 to UK businesses. And many organisations are missing the business of disabled customers due to accessibility or not being disability confident in their customer services approach. Please don't be daunted by all of that. This is the start of a journey, and there's lots of people who are going to help and support you along the way. So take the plunge, sign yourself up, and let's get started. I hope you've enjoyed our little presentation. I hope you found the information useful. As I said before, lots more available on the gov.uk website or by speaking to your host, CTEC Plus, and I really look forward to welcoming more disability confident employers into the community.
My name's Stephen Benfield. I'm the manager of urban cleaning, and I oversee all the day-to-day and running of Urban Cleaning Limited.
Hi, my name is Dave. I'm a professional cleaner, but then I also do maintenance, tipper work and labouring as well. So I've got many roles with urban cleaning.
My name is Kane. I'm a commercial cleaner for Urban Cleaning Limited.
My name's Jeff Squirrel. My job role is driving the tipper van for urban cleaning.
So for us, it was a way of tapping into a market that we didn't at first realise existed. We as a business, like most businesses, struggle to recruit staff and good staff. And then by being made aware of CTEC, and after 6 months a year, I realised that there was a massive market of people that were willing to work but just needed the chance to do the job with some adaptations, and that enabled us then to have an easier way of finding recruits and growing the business, and that's the reason why we chose CTEC Plus.
About 6 years ago, I nearly lost my leg in an accident. So I had to have multiple operations on my leg, and so it's very close to it being chopped. So the job centre put me in touch with CTEC, and then that's when I discovered about urban cleaning. Yeah, they were really considerate. You know, they understand. Like, I was struggling to walk. It was very painful at times. So they were understanding. CTEC and urban cleaning was very understanding. But since I've managed to gain work, it's made my leg even stronger because I'm on it every day. So it's a good thing. It's really, really good thing.
Well, in the past, I suffered from mental health disabilities and that sort of thing. And I find it hard. And I like, you know, getting out there, getting myself out there, you know, doing different things and that. But then since I got in touch with CTEC, what I got introduced to by the job centre, they were absolutely brilliant. They got me in touch. They got me doing so many courses, and they got me just doing all sorts of things.
I've had a few problems in my past, and a lot of people didn't want to give me the opportunity to prove myself. I've worked for a lot of companies. I've got a lot of different certificates for different things I've done, but no one was willing to give me that chance. Steve's given me the chance and been happy for 10 months. I've had 2 people from CTEC Plus, Jane and Hannah. They both went out of their way to help me. They found this job, set up the interview, set everything up. I had the interview, and I haven't looked back since. Literally, this was the one job I was offered. I took it, and everything's gone smoothly.
Just be very understanding, you know, because everyone's got complications one way or another if they have got disabilities. Just understanding, and that person, you give them a chance, they will step up to the role.
Yeah, just be friendly and open, really. You know, so you got to understand that everyone is different, and you know, you just got. Some people find it harder to adjust.
There's a lot of people out there who aren't given a chance to work, and a lot of people would like to work, whether they come from bad backgrounds or bad education. A lot of people are more than willing to actually learn and do everything they can. And they're not given the opportunity when they haven't got anything to help them forward. A lot of people can't even find people like CTEC Plus. So the job centre done me the honour of helping. Without that, I'd probably still be looking for work now.
John, as I mentioned before, is one of the disability employment advisors with Job Centre Plus. And John, I believe you're looking to do a presentation on reasonable adjustments and access to work.
Yeah, I was asked to do that. I mean, how do I follow that from Karen, really? You've just said everything I would really want to encapsulate, Karen, as to good practice and really sort of the social and inclusive model of disability that we now have. You know, it's all about reasonableness, and you've made some fantastic points there. So I do have a slideshow about access to work, and sort of I will read through the slides and then sort of elaborate a little bit more on that as to what access to work is and what that might mean for organisations out there and how you could possibly use that. So the first slide, access to work, making work possible. It's Access to Work is a grant that supports people with health conditions or disabilities. It provides individual practical support and advice to help to overcome barriers at work. It helps people with all types of disabilities, including mental health conditions. Access to Work grants may help with additional costs beyond, as has now been discussed, reasonable adjustments. Employers may be asked to contribute towards the cost of one-off support. And I'll just expand upon that a little bit. And as I say, it's a reimbursement grant that supports people with a health condition or disability to get into work and also retain work. So this is kind of coming from a slightly different angle than obviously we're talking towards employers here, but this is for individuals out there who would be coming to you as people looking for work, as people maybe already in your organisation and having difficulty retaining that work. And there is a fund of money, there is a grant fund of money out there called Access to Work to definitely advertise and make sure your employees and everybody you know about it. If somebody's, I'll just read a little bit of the additional information here. If someone is disabled or have a physical or mental health condition, these barriers can make it harder for people to access work and retain work. And one of the first steps for someone is to talk to their employer about changes that they must make in the workplace to support with their health condition, which is known as reasonable adjustments. So the employer must make certain changes as part of the legislation, equality laws, are known as reasonable adjustments to make sure that a person is not substantially disadvantaged when doing their job. And reasonable adjustments could include changes such as reviewing their working hours, adjustment to their roles, making physical changes to the workplace, like installing a ramp for a wheelchair user or an audio-visual fire alarm for somebody who's deaf. It could be letting a disabled person work somewhere else, such as on the ground floor for wheelchair access. Reasonable adjustments can be a very small thing, but it would make a big difference to that person when it came to certainly retention or even bringing on the talent that's out there that might need a little bit of adjustment to give them access to your employment. So access to work comes in with additional costs. So it could be providing individual practical support and advice to help overcome the barriers for both the customer and the employer. And I think some of the rest of the points that I've got here actually been ably sort of covered by Karen. So I'll move on to the next slide, please, and I'll read that slide and then add some additional onto there. So there we go. I'm flicking between two different screens here. So I'll come on to what could Access to Work pay for. And as I say, this is beyond the reasonable adjustments that we hope that an employer would put in place. So that would be specialist equipment or adaptations, a support worker or job coach to help in the workplace. It could be a disability awareness training for colleagues. That can be done. And it has been done. A communication support at a job interview or in the workplace. It could be the cost of moving equipment following a change in location or job. It could be travel support to work for those who cannot use public transport, which may include taxis. And an Access to Work mental health support service for people who are absent from work or experiencing difficulties with their well-being due to mental health. Okay, sorry, just a message from the chat there. And customers may be asked to resource 3 quotes, and grants would be determined based on the most cost-effective solution. Again, it is a grant system. Obviously, we will always look, it's coming out of the public purse. It will always be done on a case-by-case basis by Access to Work. Just as an addition then to the slide, Access to Work is administered by a separate team, a national team. Access to Work advisors would get involved. And it's all available online. As far as I was aware, there was going to be a ticker at the bottom of the presentation with the contact details. Right. Okay. So next slide, if you would. Eligibility. There we go. So just to read out the slide for you. So eligibility, who can get help? To be eligible for access to work, people applying must have a disability or health condition that affects their ability to work. It means that they have to pay work-related costs, so specialist equipment or travel costs. They've got to be over a 16, and they've got to be about to start paid work in England, Scotland or Wales. And for the work part of the eligibility, one of the following must apply. They must have a paid job or be self-employed, have a job interview for paid work. There is some extra things I'll talk to you about, and about to start a job or work trial or starting work experience. So that's the slide. Sorry, I've been asked to run through each slide with you. To be eligible for access to work, people can apply who have got a disability, and as I've said. Interesting around the sort of interview, if you have applicants who are coming to you who need, for instance, a British Sign Language interpreter, then that could be funded through Access to Work. And certainly if you have somebody maybe who is coming to you, but maybe you want to try them on maybe a work trial first of all, then Access to Work could actually have a look at putting into place a support worker and funding that one of the persons even doing a work trial with you. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so obviously there is an application process to this, and you can do that through the gov.uk website. And once the customer has applied to an Access to Work advisor, will contact them to discuss what help they couldn't get. As I said earlier, there's a team that does that. An advisor may also contact their employers to discuss how Access to Work can help support them. They will not contact their employer until they've agreed this with them first. So again, the employee can get in touch with Access to Work and have a chat with them, but nothing goes into place until everybody's agreed. A specialist assessor may contact you and the employer to assess your needs and discuss appropriate support and provide a detailed report to determine the best support. And you may get an offer of support, which could include a grant. If it does, you'll be told how much you'll get and for how long. And grants are awarded depending on the needs of the individual for a maximum of 3 years and are reviewed annually. There may be an element of cost share depending on the size of the company. Okay. Next slide, please. This is a recent development. I thought it was interesting to sort of have this slide in there, and this is what's been called a blended support offer. Many employers are asking employees to adapt their working arrangements and environments to support disabled people to access these new working arrangements and enable them to retain, return to and move into employment. Access to Work is introducing a new flexible package of support, and the new flexible blended support offer brings together a package of home working support, which can be blended with workplace support and new COVID-19 support to support disabled people. So I know COVID-19 is still ongoing. This is still here. So the blended support offer is 3 strands of dual site working, COVID support, including PPE and social distancing support, and home working support offer. So this was something we were still given as an option for Access to Work, and can help with if people have a health issue and they're being asked to work on a different site or they're being asked to work from home, then Access to Work could look at some additional support for them if everything else has been done up to reasonable standards by the employer. Examples could be assistive technology, office furniture, that kind of thing, to make sure they're able to keep their job. Okay. That's it. This was only ever a flavour of Access to Work. More details are on the gov.uk website. the sort of contact details. I'm not seeing the ticker on air. I think, is that coming up at the bottom there? And certainly have a look at Access to Work on the gov.uk website. Everything is there if you need be. If you have additional questions, then get in touch with your job centre, or even through CTEC Plus, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
That was wonderful. That was really good.
Brilliant stuff there from CTEC Plus, and the Access to Work scheme in general is fantastic. I know several friends who have used that scheme, and it's worked really well for them. So
Yeah, that's great. If you'd like any more information on CTEC Plus's employer services and the disability confidence scheme, you can contact employers@ctecplus.co.uk or telephone 07546 411931. Up next, I think we're taking a look at our Where in the World, aren't we?
I think we are indeed.
Let's
Yes.
have it.